everyone. This is Kristen Brindley, publisher of Nova Real Producers. I'm here with the wonderful Carl Craig. Thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Glad to be here.
I love your background, so I can't wait to talk about that. And I want to start with, though, to thank you for your service and 42 years of government service, 2 careers, fighter pilot and Homeland Security. And this is like your second career, second lease on life in the home inspection arena. Though I gotta say, in a short period of time, doing over 500 inspections for your company is also super impressive. So thank you for your service. And it's an honor to have you in Nova Real Producers. You were the partner spotlight in December. So if you guys didn't check it out, make sure you do. And honor to have you on, Craig.
Thank you.
Carl Craig. Yeah.
Yeah. My call sign, my Marine guys call me Twofer because I have 2 first names.
You really do. Ever since I met you, I've been like Carl Craig, and then I'll say Craig, and then I'll say Carl. I'm like, it's the double.
I answered to that name for 42 years, so that's okay.
That makes sense to me. I have a military spouse. So tell me about your background too before we get going, because I love your background.
Oh, I'm a big guitarist. This is I had a studio in my last house, but this is my office, and this is the only place I could cram a few of my guitars. So I have some amps over there, a recording deck, and I played as a young kid. I recorded records. I was in the bands, that made money, in college and high school and stuff like that. But this is like 6 of the 13 that I actually have. These are the ones I play most often. I've got a really nice Les Paul right here, the red one. And then I've got a couple of other axes that are more suited to particular music. Like if I want to play country, I play this little orange one right here. And then I have acoustic electrics and a regular acoustic guitar over there that I mix into my sound mixer. And I actually make deep music CDs. And for a while, I used to wrap them and package them and send them to my friends as a joke with me on the cover. So it looked like a real CD. It had my songs in it. So it was kind of funny, actually. But I play when I can. I play just about every week. My daughters come in here and want me to play so they can sing on the microphone and sing along the songs that I play. They don't sing any particular songs, but I play and they sing. So,
boy, better watch out. I may ask you about an event sometime.
Okay, we can do that.
Tell us about, because I love your story. For those that haven't read it, you definitely are going to want to read it, and why you started this second career. So tell us, why inspection after your very successful career in the government and what you were doing. Tell us about that decision and what you decided to do.
Okay, well, actually, it was my 4th career. After I retired from the Air Force in 2000, I retired from Homeland Security in 2006. So I had overlapping careers. I got out of the active duty Air Force and went into the reserves. And then I went on to work for the U.S. Customs Service, which became Department of Homeland Security. When I retired in 2006, that was like I was retired. We bought a lake house. My wife and I bought a lake house in Atlanta, and I was fishing and golfing for about 2 years. I didn't do anything. My wife's an attorney and a partner for IBM, and she was flying from Atlanta to Dulles to work in Herndon. And Augusta Westland Helicopter offered me a job in Reston. And so we would fly up and, on Sunday, put the dogs in the kennel on Sunday and fly up. And then we come back on Thursday night. We stayed in a fully furnished Oakwood apartment. We did that for months until they actually asked me to come on full time in Reston. So we left our beautiful lake house and I came back to work. And we bought a place up here in the South Riding area. And I went to work for Augusta Westland. I worked for 10 years in the business development world. I was a VP at Centrillion. I was a director of federal sales for Augusta Westland Helicopter. And then most recently, I was the vice president of Cessna Aircraft. And when I was at Cessna, I was traveling the world. And I have a second batch of kids. My oldest kids are 35 and 32, my boys. And then with my new wife, 16 years my junior, we have a soon to be 11-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I realized one morning when I was over in Germany or Africa or wherever it was, that I was doing to my little girls what I did to my boys. I was never home. I was always gone. So that was my do-over. So we talked a little bit about it. I wanted to try to open a Chick-fil-A franchise, but that didn't work out. But I had bought and sold about 20 homes in my career, and I just thought that I could do home inspection because I really appreciated everything that the home inspector did for me when I bought all those properties. And so I bought this HomeTeam franchise in 2015, and that allowed me to stay home and not travel and go to soccer games and do things with my daughters that I never got to do with my sons. So that was really important for me.
You are uniquely qualified to take a business and a franchise model and just go with it and have a lot of success. What, if for those listening, like what tips would you give to someone to have great success um, as a business owner and in inspection, like how you handle your realtors? Because I've heard, I was referred to you in several different ways, and so I'd love to hear, how you handle, that. Yeah.
Well, it's a business relationship. It really doesn't matter much as long as you know your product and the process very well. It's the same thing when I sold helicopters or I sold airplanes. You have to know your customer. You have to know what their needs are, and you try to satisfy the requirements and their needs. And in a lot of cases in this business, there's nothing different about that. You want to make sure that you do a good job with the home inspection for your agent, because basically 98% of my work is I support real estate agents. Very rarely do I get somebody off the street asking me for a home inspection. It's always through the real estate process. So you want to make sure that you have, a good bedside manner with the client and the agent. And, for example, my company, we've done about 3,500 inspections since we started. I've done probably 2,200 myself. And one of the best things about our company is we have a 99.8% satisfaction rating, which means that 998 out of 1,000 give me a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. In most cases, it's a 10 out of a 10 rating in the system. I've had my zeros and my fives and sixes and stuff like that. Some of those were mistakes or whatever, and some people just weren't happy. And it's very difficult sometimes when you're trying to do that job. But the best part of it is, even with those bad situations with particular clients, those agents understood that I did my job and I satisfied the requirement, and I maintained my relationship with them as a very professional one and an open relationship. And so that's why they keep coming back. And that's my basic duty, is to support the agent and make sure that we continue to do business together.
I love it. So, this is one of my favorite questions, and I feel like you do set yourself apart. What do you feel like's made you most successful, and what separates you from the pack?
The business itself, my company was started in 1993, and they went to the National Association of Realtors with a questionnaire. And that questionnaire, basically, the first question was, what do you like and dislike about the home inspection process? Well, there were not a lot of like answers, but the number one dislike answer was it takes too long. So that's why we came up with the team, HomeTeam. So we send a team of inspectors to do the job, and we get the job done in half the time or less than most people are used to. And they're absolutely flabbergasted when I do a 5,000 square foot house and I get the job done in 2 hours. They're used to packing a lunch and hanging out for 5 or 6 hours. And that's what separates us from the rest of the crowd. We do the job in fraction of the time. We get the report that night, and it's a highly detailed, 75 to 100 page report with 300 pictures in it. So they're impressed with that. And once they do that, they don't go back to the old way of doing business.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So for you, what do you think has been most rewarding in this new second, or well, fourth profession, but it's second lease on life? Like what has been most rewarding for you?
Well, number one, I get to stay home with the kids. But number two, I'm really, really fortunate that I am able to help people handle the most critical and probably the biggest financial burden in their life when they buy this house. I give them the ease of mind that they're not buying a pig in the poke, and I give them all the information they need to make a good decision to buy that house and to fulfill their dreams of actually buying their house. I probably did 5 first-time buyers this week on my inspections, and I spend extra time with them, and I get a lot of thank yous and post report emails that say, I really appreciate the amount of time you took with us because we were first-time buyers. So I feel real good about making sure that those people feel comfortable with the biggest financial transaction of their lifetime.
What is next for you as a business owner? And if you were to take a snapshot of the next 1 to 5 years, or even accomplishing this year, what's important for you? What are you trying to do?
obviously trying to get past COVID. COVID it put a real big hit on us. I had full-time employees, I had part-time teams, I had a 1099 team, and we were on record pace in January and February of last year. And when the governor made the announcement of what was going on, my business dropped to probably less than 10% what I normally did. And that continued for, almost a month. And I had to start laying off everybody. And so unfortunately, we got down to basically one team. I wasn't able to do 7 days a week anymore. I lost my Spanish speaking inspector. I had to do things that I really didn't want to do, but I had to be able to do that to survive because all my guys are on full-time salaries and we weren't getting any work. So that was the big challenge. Now that the work has sort of come back, I can't hire anybody because nobody is coming back into this business and people are still afraid about going into houses. We instituted a CDC COVID-19 protocol where we basically do the inspection. I've done many inspections this year where there's nobody there except us. We do everything virtually. We do a virtual walkthrough. We do everything. We get the report that evening to the client. But I mean, I'd like to get back to normal and, hire another team and get back up to 7 days a week and get our capacity back up to around 1,200 inspections per year so we could get to someplace where we could actually help out. Because I can't tell you, when I'm really busy, I turn down more business than I should be because I just don't have the capacity to do that right now. And I want that capacity back.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Is there any advice you give to realtors working with home inspectors, or any advice to our real producers?
Well, what's really funny is I was an academic platform instructor in the Air Force. I taught flight planning, systems, and aerodynamics. And then as a fighter pilot, I taught classes. I was a life support officer. I basically told you how to survive your ejection using the parachute and all that kind of equipment. So I had formal training in platform instruction. And my first year in the business in home inspection, I was absolutely appalled at the lack of knowledge that most agents had about the home inspection process. So I took it upon myself to become DPOR CE certified school. So I teach CE classes to agents. And my two classes that I teach are Home Inspection 101 for brand new agents and Managing the Home Inspection for seasoned agents. I give out a pop quiz. And for 4 years, that pop quiz, the highest score I've ever gotten from an agent was 60. So that kind of tells you that there's a lot of stuff going on out there that some of them don't really know a whole lot about because things have changed. But I do my best to try to educate the agent on certain aspects of the process and what we focus on, because the last thing I want is to get into an argument with an agent in front of a client. And that's actually happened to me. And I've had agents tell people, I had an agent tell this client just recently, look, there's no radon problems here. And that radon test was the highest radon score we've ever had in our business, 28.1 picocuries. And that was right after the agent told the client there wasn't going to be any radon problems in that area. So there's things that, they're very experienced. They know the business very well, but there's some aspects of it that I can help them, get better at, or at least tell them from the standpoint of the home inspector what we kind of would like to do. Because I teach this class, and the most important thing I talk about is managing expectations of both the client and also working together as a team between the agent and the inspector. So we work as a team. We're very, cordial, we're very professional, and we don't get into an argument in front of the client. So that's one of the things I really push in my class that I teach.
Love it. I love how you handle things. So, do you advertise? Like, what's your main way that you get business? Are you, word of mouth quite a bit? Like, what is it for you?
Well, for the longest time, we did presentations in the real estate office. So I would have to go to each real estate office and introduce myself and, get into a relationship with either the broker or the office manager or something like that to provide a presentation. And in a lot of cases, back 4 or 5 years ago, I had to spend $1,000, $1,500 to buy a lunch for the agents to come, and I'd feed them. And in a lot of cases, I got kicked off the stage about halfway through my presentation. So it was very frustrating in the very beginning, but my corporation has basically founded national relationships with companies like Keller Williams. We are now a Keller Williams nationally approved vendor since 2018. And we also do some other companies that were national vendors and regional vendors like Century 21 New Millennium we're regional vendors for. And so we provide a lot of services to those organizations. We donate to their causes. We give clients their discounts because they're associated with those particular agents. I provide free CE training to those organizations. And, I feel like, for example, Keller Williams, I'm a Bold graduate. And I donate help purchase their Red Day shirts and participate in Red Day activities with Keller Williams because we're very immersed in Keller Williams type operations. So there's a lot of things that we do to try to help out and, make the relationship better. But with COVID, everything's kind of tough. So it's very difficult to try to break into a Zoom call and try to do Zoom calls. But in the interim, I have created a 100-person home services referral group that I work with. And the agents love my referral list because every inspection I provide, I give my client 4 pages of home services professionals in the area that can do jobs for them, like flooring, roofing, electrical, plumbing, the whole 9 yards. And when I get these people together in a relationship so we can pass referrals with each other and understand each other's business, it helps the real estate agent tremendously. It makes her him look very good with their client when they can provide their client with all this associated help after they make the purchase, because a lot of these purchases today are as is. You're buying the house just like it is. If there's something wrong with it, you got to figure out how to fix it after you pay $50,000 more than the asking price for it. So those are the kind of things that we're working on right now. But I still try very hard to get into Zoom calls to offices and do lunch and learns and things like that. And I am still teaching the CE course and providing DPOR approved stuff for VHDA classes and things like that.
Well, so it's such an interesting market right now too, right? So when it's low inventory, so are you doing a lot of walk-in talks and a lot of post-sale inspections?
Yes, walk-in talks have always been popular from the standpoint of the limited number of open houses. I mean, at least they're doing open houses where you can go in and minimize your time inside for COVID protocols. And then the people fall in love with the house on Sunday and they have to make an offer by 9 p.m. on Tuesday. So they try to get us into the house to do a walk-in talk. A lot of my agents, a majority of my top producing agents will not let a client make an offer without some kind of home inspection. So yeah, we do a lot of walk-in talks. Those are quick and dirty, no reports attached to it. There's limited liability, but we give the client a full-blown inspection on the property and we walk them through all the issues at the end. So they just take copious notes and then they can make a decision whether they want to go all in or not. Now, post inspections, we've done a handful in just the last couple of months where people went on ahead and made an offer without a home inspection contingency, threw $75,000 over the asking price and then bought the house. And then the agent recommended that, I would have been their agent or the inspector had they, done an inspection for their client, but they recommend that the client contact me and do an inspection. I did one just the other day that had $65,000 worth of problems in the house. And the woman literally broke down and dropped on the floor and cried because she spent $75,000 over the asking price and now has $65,000. Nope, the roof's shot. The foundation has a hole in it. You can see sunlight coming through. The HVAC system's 30 years old and not working. I mean, it's just pile on to pile on those kinds of situations. So, and I've done about 5 of those in just the last few weeks where people are absolutely appalled with the fact that they've got all these problems. I had an agent, book an inspection in November, and then she promptly canceled it. And I called her and asked her what was going on. She said her client elected to go without a home inspection on her offer. And she made them sign a waiver. And I did an inspection for her about 2 weeks ago. And she told me that client's suing her now because there were $60,000 worth of foundation problems in the house. And so she said, I remind you, you signed this, release form that basically said you absolved me of all wrongdoing or anything because you elected to bypass the home inspection before you made your offer. So there's not much we can do about that. So I've seen a lot of ugly things happening with that because of the way the market is. There's not a lot of houses. We're doing a lot of really ugly ones. I mean, really, really ugly ones. And they're commanding high prices over asking price. And it just absolutely blows me away that people actually live in these houses and they have kids in these houses. It's scary how bad they are.
I believe it. Well, you heard it here at Real Producers. Thank you so much, Carl Craig, for being with us. We really appreciate you.
Yep. Glad to be here.